US2. Alright. We'll be looking at the western segment of US2. It goes from Everett, Washington to St. Ignace, Michigan. Before I continue, please read this disclaimer and do everything you see in the lower left corner. So like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's get started. Let's talk about US2 Western eastbound. So here on Interstate 5, or the 5 as most Westerners would call it, we have US2 east sign for Wenatchee and Everett Avenue. Here on northbound I-5, I showed southbound before. We have Snohomish signed on here too. We have our first US2 reassurance shield. And further on, we get the same pull through as we saw on northbound I-5, as well as we're meeting with Washington Highway 204 for Lake Stevens. At random interchanges, we have east sign for Wenatchee still, and we somehow get Monroe on here too. Monroe, I'm not sure how it's pronounced in Washington, but keep going. It's on the top line on this sign, but we also have Stevens Pass 56 and Wenatchee 118, which I think Wenatchee is a good choice. You wouldn't sign it for Spokane yet because you would want to take Interstate 90 to get to Spokane faster, so Wenatchee is the correct choice. Now we see Gold Bar 2, Leavenworth 73, and Wenatchee 96 around the Sultan, Washington area, so things are consistent. And I thought I showed some nice scenery. I won't show a whole lot of scenery, just scenery itself without any mileage signs, because almost anywhere I dropped down on Google Street View, I was bound to find some nice scenery. So we'll see a lot of nice scenery on this road. Don't get me wrong. But now we have Stevens Pass 16 and Leavenworth 51. So the Wenatchee stuff disappears, which, I mean, Leavenworth's not like terrible, but at the same time, like, come on, Washington, you could have signed it the whole way, and you got to drop it now. And here's another bit of nice scenery. This is in Leavenworth, roughly, and it looks kind of cool around here, so I can kind of understand why they would want to sign it. And now we have Leavenworth. So we were just outside Leavenworth there. So now we have Casimir 26 and Wenatchee 37. Here in Shaston, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but we still have US2 signed for Wenatchee as well. We are meeting with 97 South for Clay Elm and Ellensburg. I understand no Seattle this way because coming the other way, you would want to get to Seattle going on 97. Signing those for this, for these two cities, I think are just fine. And here, as we're meeting with Washington 285, it is signed for Wenatchee because 2 doesn't really touch Wenatchee, but it is the correct thing to sign. And we're going to be concurrent with 97 North for Okanogan and Spokane, which I think are good choices. Now we have Waterville 22, Okanogan 87, and Spokane 160. So I like that they're signing Spokane from so far out. And as 97 and 2 split, we have 2 signed east for Waterville and Spokane. Fine with it as long as we have Spokane there. And we get Waterville 8, Coulee City 50. Not sure about that one in terms of its pronunciation, but we also have Spokane 146, so that's good. And here at a random intersection, we still have Spokane signed. And now we are approaching Spokane. I think we're technically in the city limits, but we have 90 East and US2 for Spokane, so that's good to see. But 90 West, Ritzville, why Ritzville? This is like one of the only places on 90 that's signed for Ritzville instead of Seattle. Why are we not signing Seattle on 90? That is ridiculous. But here, as 2 and 395 split off of I-90, is signed for Newport. 2 signed for Newport, and then 395 is this other city. And here is a look at downtown Spokane. I couldn't find a great view of it on 2, but we got some of these buildings right here. And now 2 East is signed for Newport. At first I thought it was a weird choice, but it actually is the correct choice because you wouldn't sign this Sandpoint, Idaho yet because there is a faster way to get to Sandpoint. So Newport, I think, is the correct choice. And we have Newport on the bottom line. And once we get closer to Newport, we do have Sandpoint there, which is the correct choice after Newport. And then here in Newport, we still get a Sandpoint sign. And I could not find a Welcome to Idaho sign going this way, but I did see this Panhandle Historic Rivers Pass sign right here next to this reassurance shield. So, I would rather see a Welcome to Idaho sign. And now we get Priest River 5, Sandpoint 28, and Priest Lake 32. I'm not sure what Priest Lake is doing on there, since I don't think 2 really goes to it. But it might just be a touristy area, I'm not sure. Not familiar with Idaho too much. We meet with US 95 is signed for Coeur d'Alene and Spokane, which are good choices for it. And then East 2 and North 95 signed for Bonners Ferry and Canada. Bonners Ferry for 2, I think, is a good choice, and then Canada's a good thing for US 95. We have Bonners Ferry 31 here. And then here in Bonners Ferry, we are now signed for Moe Springs, I'm not sure how it's pronounced that. And then Kalispell. Kalispell is the correct choice for 2, so I'm glad it's on there. And then 95 signed for Canada. And then once we're on 2 alone now, we have Troy on the sign now, and Kalispell is on the bottom line at 136. So Idaho is doing a pretty good job by putting Kalispell on there. So I like to see that. We enter Montana, we get a Welcome to Montana sign, which isn't too visible, kind of blends in with the background a lot of the time. This thing with Montana welcome signs. But we also get a mild sign here, so I like that we have both of these. And Kalispell is on the bottom line, so that's good. And as we get a little closer to Kalispell, we have Kalispell 89. There's not a whole lot of cities in Montana through a stretch. And here we meet with US 93 is signed for Whitefish and Missoula, which I think are good choices for 93, and then 2 is for Continue Straight here, and this was requested by Cordamach 437, so thanks so much for the request. And now we are signed for Columbia Falls and West Glacier. I'm not sure why Columbia Falls is abbreviated there, but I think that's okay to sign coming out of this is Evergreen, Montana, but out of Kalispell, I think that's actually okay. And then now we have Junction, Montana 4011, and then Columbia Falls 13. They're talking about Glacier National Park. And West Glacier, I mean, they're technically signing an unincorporated community, but I think it's okay to sign this just to differentiate the parts of Glacier we're about to meet. So I actually don't have too many issues with this. And I just thought this was just a funny site. So we have Hungry Horse 4 and West Glacier 15. Hungry Horse, that's a funny city name. And then we have all these billboards for Jesus, and we also have Protect Your Access to Montana's Great Outdoors. So that's a cool sign there. We got a lot of cool stuff in this, so I'll let you take a minute to look at this. Then continuing on, we have West Glacier 8, East Glacier 63, and then Browning 79. I'm not too sure about Browning, but I know that's where you meet US 89, so that might be okay, but probably would rather see Shelby there. And then here we are entering the Glacier area. We see West Glacier Village to the left up here. And this is about all what West Glacier is. We got some nice scenery too. And then here is East Glacier, and then now we're just signed for Browning. And then now we have Browning 12, Shelby 70. So Shelby is the correct choice after Glacier, and Browning might be okay. I'm not sure. And then now here in Browning, we're just outside of it, we're still signed for Browning and Shelby. And here is the split with 2 and 89. And our mileage sign we find along the way, we have Cutbank 31 and Shelby 55. Cutbank is a sensible secondary. I wouldn't have signed it as a primary going this way because Shelby is a lot bigger than it. So I think that's a good sign there. Here we're meeting with Interstate 15 North is signed for Lethbridge, which I think Calgary would work a little better there than US 2 East is signed for Chester. But we'd have Chester 42 and Havre. But that's what should have been signed at this interchange instead of Chester, though. So I think Havre would be better there. But here, roughly in the Havre area, we have an intersection with US 87 is signed for Great Falls, which I think is a good choice for 87, and Havre for continuing straight. And then here in Havre, we have Chinook 20 and Malta 89. Malta is the correct choice after this, but we just get Harlem 21 in between here in Chinook. Harlem, come on. Don't be signing something else besides Malta. You should sign Malta, Montana. Come on. But we do get Malta back on this sign. And further on, we get Glasgow. So Glasgow, I think, is okay. And now we get Malta 17, Glasgow 87, and Wolf Point 136. I think Wolf Point is the correct choice after Glasgow. Here we are meeting with US 191 here in the Malta area. And here is the split with 191 and 2 after the concurrency. We are signed for Lewiston for 191 and then Glasgow still for US 2. And now we have Wolf Point 47 and Williston 144. Williston is in North Dakota. I think that is the correct choice. And then now we have Poplar 22 and Williston 93. As we get closer to Williston, we just have Williston signed. We get a Welcome to North Dakota sign, which their sign definitely pops out a lot more than Montana's did, so that's great. And here we are meeting with US 85 in the Williston area. And now we're signed for Williston 4 and Minot 132. Minot is the correct choice after Williston, so I like that. And then here we are meeting with 85 again. We'll be concurrent with it as we meet with 85 Business. And then we're signed for Stanley and Minot still. And then Fortuna for going left after the 85 concurrency. And then we have West 52 left lane, just in Burlington, North Dakota. And then here in Minot, we have Bismarck 109, Devil's Lake 125, and Jamestown 175. So our control city is actually Devil's Lake, which I think is the correct choice. Meet with US 83 for Airbase and Bismarck, so good sign there. And US 52, as it splits off, is signed for Jamestown. And then now we have Devil's Lake at the bottom of this sign, as well as Rugby as a secondary. But now we get Towner 38. No, sign Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Sign Devil's Lake, not Towner. Nobody's heard of that. And here in Towner, we get Rugby. Come on. Why are we signing the secondary controls now? Come on, you didn't do it before, now you're doing it. But here in Rugby, we do get Devil's Lake again. And here, roughly around Leeds, we have the junction with 281, and we'll be concurrent with it shortly. And then as this concurrency ends, we have Churches Ferry and Cando signed for 281 North and Devil's Lakes for going on US 2. And here in Devil's Lake, we are signed for Lakota 27 and Grand Forks 90. Grand Forks is absolutely correct. And once we get closer to Grand Forks, we just have Grand Forks. Here in Grand Forks, we have I-29 and US 81 junction here. 29 North is signed for Winnipeg, which is great. I wish similar energy could have been displayed in Montana instead of signing Lethbridge. It could have signed Calgary. For bland-looking signs, it doesn't look all that interesting compared to some of the other ones we've seen. And from East Grand Forks, we have Fisher 10 and Crookston 21. So Crookston is the next choice, which I agree with. That's where we meet US 75. And here we are meeting it. 75 South is signed for Moorhead, which, I mean, I would like to see Fargo on there too, but, I mean, Moorhead, I mean, you meet 94 there, so I guess I don't need to complain too much. I mean, if you want to see my thoughts on it, watch my 75 video. And Crookston is still signing straight, as we're concurrent with 75, and then when we're not concurrent, we have Warren signed for 75 North, which is okay, and then Crookston for going straight. And then now we have Mentor 21 and Bagley 59. I don't really think those are the great choices. I would much prefer Bemidji. I think that would be better. Then we meet with 59 here in Erskine, something like that. And we have Thief River Falls and Monoman. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. But we do get Bemidji on this sign here in Bagley. So once we get to Bagley, finally get it, which I think should have been the choice since Crookston. And here in Bemidji, we are now signed for Grand Rapids for 2, as well as we're meeting with US 71, South for Park Rapids, and North for International Falls. And here we split with 71, and we are just signed for Grand Rapids. And now we get Cass Lake 10, Grand Rapids 64, and Duluth. So we get a city beyond Grand Rapids with Duluth at 140, which is the correct choice past Grand Rapids. I'm glad they're signing it from so far out. Here we are in the Grand Rapids area. We meet with 169, and we'll be concurrent with it for a bit. And here's that concurrency ending. And now we're just signed for Duluth 79, which is great, and they do maintain it throughout the rest of the time until we meet I-35. And we don't get a I-35 mention, really. I mean, we just kind of default onto it. We see freeway entrance there. And then 2 is signed for Wisconsin, which is okay, but I rather would see... I would like to see Superior instead, because that's the actual city it goes to. And there's also a detour for 535. And we are crossing into Wisconsin now, into Superior. We don't see a Welcome to Wisconsin sign. We see Wisconsin, Douglas County here. And then here we meet with US 53 here in Superior. And we are signed for Ashland and Spooner. So 53 goes to Spooner, and then we are going to Ashland, which Ashland is the correct choice. And now we get US 2 4 miles. I guess that's the split with 2. And then Ashland 36, and then Eau Claire 135. So things are making some sense here. 2 east is signed for Ashland, 53 south is signed for Spooner and Eau Claire. Spooner is where you meet with 63. Eau Claire is a bigger city beyond it. And 2 is signed for Ashland still. We see Ashland on the bottom line of the mileage sign, so that's good. As we get closer, we just get Ashland signed. Here is the very beginning of US 63 is signed for Hayward, and we're still signed for Ashland. And then here in Ashland, we are signed for Ironwood, which I think is the correct choice. And now we get Hurley 16, Ironwood 16. Interesting that they have the same mileage, because they're roughly twin cities. And then now we get 2 left lane, 51 right lane. 51 will go to Hurley, and then 2 will go to Ironwood. We get a Welcome to Michigan sign. We will see another one of these along the way. And then from Ironwood, we have Wakefield 10 and Watersmeet 51. I don't know about Watersmeet too much. I would rather see Iron River sign instead of Watersmeet. I think that would be my choice. And now we have Watersmeet 28, Iron River 58, and then Crystal Falls 74. I mean, Crystal Falls, I mean, that's okay, but I would rather see Iron Mountain. I know it's a bunch of iron cities like in a row, and maybe that's why they signed Crystal Falls, but I think Iron Mountain would be a little bit better. And we meet with US 45, I believe. This is horrible Street View quality, because this is like 2007 or 2008. I can barely make anything of this, but from what I can see, we're signed for Crystal Falls still. And then here in Iron River, we're 1 mile out. We have Crystal Falls and Iron Mountain sign. So at least we get Iron Mountain on this sign. Meet with 141, and we'll be concurrent with it. And we enter Wisconsin again. We enter a very small portion of Wisconsin. And then after that section, we have Michigan again. And now, as we get closer to Iron Mountain, we have Escanaba on the sign at 55 miles away. And here we meet with the 144 concurrency end, I believe, and then we're assigned for Green Bay. Meet with US 2 and US 8 here. I believe this is the... Is this the Star of USA? I'm not too sure, but we're assigned for Green Bay. Then here we meet with US 41 here. And we'll turn left. And now we have Escanaba 23 and Gladstone 32. So Gladstone is a city just beyond Escanaba, so I think that one's okay. Like, it makes sense to sign it going this way. And then now we have Escanaba 9, Manistee 62, and St. Ignace 150. So Manistee, I think, is a sensible choice after Escanaba. And then St. Ignace is where the route ends, so I do like them signing that. And then here in Gladstone, we have Escanaba signed, but we also have Rapid River for the route we're going on, which is a little weird. We meet with the end of the concurrency of 41. We have Marquette signed. And then Manistee and St. Ignace are on the signs now, which are great mileage signs, so I like to see that. And now we have Michigan 117, 17, and St. Ignace 67. So I've seen the sign St. Ignace basically the whole way, so I like that. Meet with I-75 for Sault Ste. Marie and south for Mackinac Bridge. I don't really think we need the Mackinac Bridge sign going southbound, at least, especially from St. Ignace, because the Mackinac Bridge is basically in St. Ignace, so I think we should be signing Detroit. If not that, then maybe Flint or Saginaw, but Detroit I think would be the best choice. And then we meet with Business 75 for St. Ignace going ahead. And we do get an end sign for US 2, so I love to see that. And that will conclude our eastbound US 2 Western section. And my final verdict for US 2 East is Wenatchee, Spokane, Newport, Sandpoint, Bonners Ferry, Kalispell, Columbia Falls. I just signed Glacier, or just Glacier National Park. Then that's saying Shelby, maybe with Browning as a secondary. And then Hadbury after that, then Malta, Glasgow, Wolf Point, Williston, Devil's Lake, Grand Forks, Crookston, Bemidji, Grand Rapids, Duluth, Superior, Ashland, and continuing Ironwood, Iron River, Iron Mountain, maybe some Crystal Falls in there is okay. Escanaba, Gladstone, Manistee, and St. Ignace. So overall, not too horribly signed. I mean, there's a few one-off signs that are a little annoying, but overall, pretty impressed with the signage on this road. And I thank you for watching. Be on the lookout for Westbound, where I take a look at a city that I'm going to be very interested to talk about. And if you want to see my tier list of which states I think signed it the best and the worst, be sure to look for that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.